What the heck is going on today? What the heck is going on for Saturday morning marketing smarties? I don't even know. And that little bit is just so we can get kind of in the groove of the show, relax, and know that it's going. People have asked me, by the way, my name is Roland, and welcome to Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties. It's not going to be a normal day today. It's very abnormal, but it's all right because we're going to have fun no matter what. But if people are here to learn something today and engage in something where you actually get to learn something specific or significant in the tech world or whatever, I'm not telling you to go away, but you might want to turn the knob now. I just don't know how educational today is going to be. But I am here, not here by myself. So Roland is here with Tim. So Tim, come on board and say hi and tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Tim Longwell with Longwell Art, and we're helping you regain your health and happiness through reigniting your creativity. We offer instructions, tips and hints, and we help out Roland as much as we can when we're here.
Thank you, Tim. And he does help a lot too. He's getting very good at the Wrangler job. And as we go along, it'll become more and more clear what the wrangling position is all about. And the Wrangler, in a nutshell, is lassoing and wrangling all the comments that come in from the people out in the comment stream. And I can see that Stroke TV is out there. That is my newfound friend named Aaron. And Aaron is a very, very special individual. And Aaron, I'm going to give you the heads up now that you may want to get your hair combed and possibly adjust your camera and your microphone, because you never know. We might be inviting you into the green room here and be on the show. So just, you never know about me, you know. And also Lowell Ann Fulsang is out there. Lowell Ann, welcome. How you doing? And I know that you usually are very busy on Saturday mornings, and the fact that you're out there visiting us, I appreciate it a lot. Also, I wanted to say with the viewing audience that Barbara Quick Barbara Quick, who is out there right now, hi Barbara, was my first compatriot who actually watched the show and joined me in the green room and participated in Marketing Smarties. She's my #1 constituent. And the reason I bring you up today, Barbara, is that I wanted to pay tribute to the fact she's got this dog and she's got this blog. And the dog, unfortunately, has passed on. So yesterday they had to put the dog to rest, and her little dog, Susie, is no more. But I've been hearing about this dog, Susie, for some years now. And Barbara had a whole blog, a dog blog for Susie. And it was really creative. So the way the blog was set up was like, occasionally Barbara would post, and occasionally the dog would post. So the dog would be submitting articles, and Barbara was writing the articles from the perspective of the dog. But it was very entertaining and was very nicely done. So I just wanted to pay tribute to that. I'm very sorry to hear about your dog, Barbara, but this is the day that we can actually take the time to say things like this. And by the way, this is Tai Takaoka, my son. Your intro music, I swore you were doing a Bob Ross show about happy little trees. Okay, enough of that. Tai is my son. There are 2 Takaokas related in this nation, and maybe a few dozen nationwide, actually. But there is only one Roland Takaoka, and there's only one Tai Takaoka, and they're both related, and they're both online right now watching this show. So that's fabulous, and welcome, Tai. Glad to see you. So let me do a couple things as I go here and adjust. But the main thing that I wanted to do today was get online and make a couple of announcements, get them out of the way, and then talk about some stuff that's been on our minds. And I will be organizing that. But first, before we go on, Tim, you've been here for months now helping me out. By the way, I really like your suspenders and the light blue shirt. That really is becoming of you.
It's not really suspenders. It's pattern on the shirt. See?
Oh, wow. Okay, you had me fooled. Sorry about that. Dang it. Now you got to go out and get some suspenders.
Actually, I've been considering it. So,
well, no, it looks cool.
The triangle shape of my body is starting to cause problems.
If you got a little
fix, yep, a little straw hat,
a little hat with a feather, and you might look like an what do they call it? An Austrian yodeler or a mountain climber.
Oh,
anyway,
nice, thanks. Actually, the pattern on this shirt is the part of the apparel of the Choctaw Nation Indians.
Ah, I see. Well, really caught my eye, so that was very cool. By the way, we have Barbara DeLuccio also in the audience. And let me see if I missed anybody. No, that about wraps it up, I think. But welcome, Barbara. Nice seeing you too. And it looks like everybody's engaged right now. And as I said before, it's not going to be a normal day because of several things. But there will be a couple of subjects. Before I get into those and just kind of like blab and mouth off and decompress and diffuse, I'm going to turn it over to Tim for a while. Because, Tim, I'm really kind of curious about a couple things, okay? The first thing I'm curious about is how your studio is coming out. Because you had to move your entire studio. You had some people moving around and stuff. So you had to completely shift your studio from one room to another and like basically rebuild your studio. So how's that project coming?
You're looking at it now. We've done over a dozen recordings plus live broadcasts with you and Lowell Ann since the move. And we've been in the new studio. I've got it so streamlined down that it took my son and I better part of a day was all.
So
the studio is actually in the background. That's my art studio and my recording studio all rolled together.
That's pretty cool. And so that the people understand, what are you going to do with your studio? What is your plan for the studio and your project with art?
Well, what I'm doing, and soon we'll also be adding to that with my son, is we're doing YouTube recordings and helping people understand the benefits of mental and physical health and how creativity ties into that and we're showing them how to use simple things and walking them through towards more involved projects so that they are able to express their creativity. We've got interviews lined up where we're going to bring people in that do everything from journaling to sewing felt together to make stuffed animals. Looking at possibly an art college professor. We have a lot of things planned. Isaac is actually working on kicking off a channel that is also Longwell Art that will focus strictly on drawing, because that's where he's happiest. And the plans are exponential. It's time that's going to take for execution of all of it, but it is slowly progressing. We are slowly growing. We'll be taking the live programs onto our Longwell Art website with the VCP plugin. So there's a lot going on, and it's just, like I said, time is the biggest factor. Just sometimes you have to wait for its turn in the timeline.
You know, I wouldn't say that patience has always been my strongest virtue, but Aaron out there for Stroke TV, he'll be able to relate to this. I had my stroke in 2012, and it was my third one. You'd think I'd learn after one, but I had my third stroke, and it put me on my butt pretty much. But my world came to a halt. And when I say that, I'm sure that Aaron is thinking about his experience. He is indeed another stroke victim. But
the MS does that to you too. Just all of a sudden.
You know what? I correct myself now. He's not a stroke victim. He's a stroke warrior. And we call ourselves survivors. And I do not see myself as a victim at all. So I completely misspoke and was out of line with that. I'm probably the least victimized person that I know. And I just don't have that mental attitude of, oh, woe is me and why did this happen to me? I know exactly why it happened to me. And there's no doubt, there's no remorse, there's no resentment, there's no blame. It just is. And I take full responsibility for it. So, well, that's me. But when I had my stroke, my world came to a halt. I couldn't play racquetball, couldn't play guitar, couldn't walk down the hall, couldn't drive my car, could hardly brush my teeth. So it was an interesting transition to all of a sudden be rushing through life, playing racquetball 3 times a week, visiting people, having regular meetings, networking with people, and all of a sudden I'm in a hospital bed and a recovery room and a rehab station, maybe moving around the building and stuff, but I didn't see my home for 3 months. And so that's a culture shock, for sure. Not to mention the idea of physically what I could do, what I could not do, what my limitations were, learning how to swallow properly again. There were a lot of things. So let's see what Tim is bringing in here from Roland.
Yeah, she's bringing up a couple of things. First off, she mentions the great shirt. She mentions about vertical lines. And yes, Roland, I'm well aware of one. Going vertical makes you look taller or wearing suspenders, whereas if they're going side to side, they can definitely increase size. So yes, I can appreciate that fully, and I'm dealing with it as best I can. She also mentions that she loved my videos explaining how to get started in painting, especially the piece on the color wheel, because it's very relevant to her quilting. And that was one of the points that I was making in the creativity video, is that it doesn't apply just to artwork, that there's so many places that the color wheel, adding color wheels and understanding color wheels, it works in images, as Roland said, even in quilting crafts. So color and knowing how to understand it is very basic to successful implementation of whatever your creativity effort is.
Wow. The only thing that I was thinking about the blue was that I love the color. And it pretty matches my Smarties theme and my logo and that setup pretty darn close. But I do like the color. It brings a lot of your personality out. So other than these dark shirts and these blah things that you've been wearing, this bright color and the tone of it all is really good for you. And I
Yeah,
don't say that about many people. Usually it's red.
yeah. Red's not a good color for me. As maroon works, a wine color, but reds and me are not usually good on the same page. It flushes me out.
Well, you got 2 votes on the light blue shirt today, so keep it in mind that you want to buy more of those colors. So there were a couple things that I was going to bring up today before we did something radically different, which we will hear about in about 15 minutes. But every once in a while, I like to bring out some stuff that's pertinent to what we do here with live streaming and the Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties show, because we are actually dedicated to bringing technological and informational education to people who are newbies and on the market or intermediate on the market. They're learning how to live stream, learning how to produce a show, learning how to get on the microphone, learning how to do everything that we do here. And not only that, to be able to produce the show, add the lower third, add the music, add the production and the structure and so forth, and learn how to communicate and exchange a conversation online. That's all part of what we discuss and teach. And we're real loosely structured with Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties, but that's because we are not trying to produce a commercial thing that is just watched by people. This particular show is based on the conversation. It's based on interaction, engagement. This is real engagement. And it's going to get real engagement in just a few minutes now. But before we do that, I wanted to bring to mind that there was an article in 2016 in Entrepreneur Magazine and Entrepreneur Online. And it was in February. So we're 4 or 5 months away from this article being 2 years old. Now, in the scheme of things, 2 years doesn't seem like a long time. In internet technology time, that's a long time. And just to prove the point, the entrepreneur article, and I didn't catch the author's name, but he asked these questions. It's like the 10 most asked questions of blah blah blah, whatever it was he was writing about. But this particular question that he asks and then answers, the question was 2016 February. Remember that, less than 2 years old. Can I embed a live broadcast on my website? And his answer, unbelievably to me, was this: no, but you can save your live broadcast after it's over and then upload it to YouTube and another video sharing service that allows you to embed it on your website. Now, that was in less than 2 years ago. 1 year ago, we produced the VCP plugin and have been working out the details for that. So we've been broadcasting and live streaming from our website for a year now. So apparently about maybe less than 5 months after they said, no, you can't do it, we were doing it. And to YouTube's credit, if you verify your website with YouTube, you get it all locked in and officially connected, you can live stream a YouTube video from YouTube Live right into your website. But there have been complications, as Lowell Ann will testify to. The comment streams have been very difficult to incorporate. So we came up with this plugin VCP, like a video comments plus, because it's the video, it's the comments, but it's got a lot more to it. What you're seeing, because we are able to display comments from the people, as my comment wrangler is able to do, and we're able to highlight what they do, and we brand a little bit. I mean, the background's got a few Smarties in there, so it's always shouting Smarties at you when you're watching the show. But it's subtle, right? And that's the way I brand. And I'm not going to pitch something at you between now and the start of the end of the show. I'm not going to say, by the way, you can get these things, get them while they're hot. They're on discount right now, and the sale's going away soon. I'm not going to do that. I just have no inspiration towards trying to sell on this show, because this show is based on the educational elements of what we can convey to help and guide people. Get them started, to encourage you to get started doing exactly what the gentleman that we're going to invite in a little bit, I hope he comes, will join us and show you that he did exactly that.
Oh, so, he's offered to come in, by the way. He's just waiting on you.
Okay. You hang tight and we'll have you in here in no time. I wanted to make sure I had this other stuff off my chest, because otherwise I'll be bugging you and we won't get to talk to you. I'll be too busy diffusing still. But there was a little bit more. I thought this was really interesting too, and I wanted to bring this up. By the way, for those who care, the contest is officially closed. The Give First contest is officially closed. That's all we'll say. We'll tell you more about the results next Saturday. But the last thing I wanted to cover was it was interesting, because we talked about, for 3 years now, I've been saying to the world that 80% of the internet marketing and the advertising internet marketing, especially on social media like Facebook, 80% of it is outright rejected by the viewers, by the users of social media. They don't like ads. And I've been saying that. I got that statistic out of some reports and various things. But whether or not the statistic is exact or not, it brought to mind that advertising is rejected by the viewer in general at a rate of about 80%. So when people say, oh yeah, we're real successful in Facebook ads and we're producing these ads and we're selling all this stuff, that's the rare occasion. That's the rare entity. Not everybody's making a killing in Facebook advertising. So if you're the lucky one that does, you should get in there and experiment and find out, and if it works for you, fine. But if you do it wrong, you can hurt your business. And that's why I haven't been doing it. But the idea of perfecting the methodology in Facebook ads is a very tricky subject. You just can't read this article and say steps 1, 2, and 3 and go work away and give Facebook your money. I wouldn't do it without really thinking it through. But as a follow-up to the concept that advertising is not accepted, there was an article that basically was talking about the most trusted and the least trusted industries to be found within social media that people will either accept or reject. So here are a few statements regarding what's accepted. These are the least accepted. The oil, petroleum, and marketing advertising industries. Oil and petroleum and marketing and advertising are the industries most distrusted by by consumers in the United States. If only our computers could do this sorting for us. Oil and petroleum, marketing and advertising, the two industries that are most distrusted by by consumers in the United States. So you ask, why can I no longer, Roland, why can I no longer call myself an internet marketer? For the very reason that the people conceive of, oh, you're an internet marketer, well, they cross their fingers at me, and it's like, they think, oh, don't try to sell me something. No, I don't want to buy it. And there's a negative veil that comes across us when we say we are marketers, we're internet marketers. I've changed my modus operandi completely to the point where what I try to do is help other people express themselves. And the reason is this. Let's say you do have something to sell. If we help you learn how to express yourself, basically just that, how to express yourself online, in live streaming video, or with your website, or whatever it is we do, to whatever level you engage with that and learn how to express yourself, you are going to find followers that agree with you, that like you, learn how to trust you, and then eventually ask you for help if you're the solution to their problem. You're not going to have to push it in their face and say, hey, you want to buy this? I'm sure you need it, and you can buy it now I'll give you a nice discount and blah, blah, blah. And because when someone pushes at you with something like that, it's exactly in the vein of distrusted services, marketing and advertising, and the oil and petroleum industry, because it seems to me it's always linked with a really pretty ad that back behind the scenes, they're just talking about how much money they're packing in the bank. There's a lot of money involved. And when there's that much money involved, there's a lot of politics. And when there's that much money and politics and that stuff involved, people are going to be sneaky. They're going to be deceptive, and therefore end up distrusted. That's where the marketing and advertising business went. And so when I started this show, Marketing Smarties, in 2000, right at the end of 2014, one of the first things I said was, if you don't want to watch this show, turn the proverbial knob, shut me off, click away, because I don't need people to watch me. I'm going to express myself on what I believe, and that's how we started the show. And that's one of the reasons that I will not advertise in this show, because if I did, I'm falling back into the same scenario that I started with as an internet marketer, which I despise. I mean, as far as the view of what the vision of internet marketing is not that good. And I got to the point where I can no longer call myself an internet marketer. I just don't like the ramifications or the concept of what it is. And so that's one. These are the most distrusted: oil, petroleum, and marketing advertising. Because, basically we lie. The nature of that stuff is that we're not telling the truth. And that's what I couldn't adhere to. Here's the next as the least distrusted next to those first categories. Finance, insurance is the third most distrusted industry by U.S. consumers. Now, I'm sure we could spend a lot of time figuring this out. I don't know why insurance would be that categorized as distrusted, but and I asked the people this, and you can tell me, it might instill a conversation out there. Is it because of the insurance companies not following up and insuring what they insured, like paying up and taking care of it? Or it's like the fine print getting them out of what they're declaring that they're going to insure for you and not paying up? Is that why they're distrusted? Or why? Why is the insurance industry distrusted? Now, one thing I know is, like, you can get insurance and somebody's going to charge you something and someone else says, oh, we can beat that price. Well, insurance inevitably all comes from the same base. So who in the world is adding all the figures that creates a profit margin where people will sell it for more or people will sell it for less? And as they sell it for less, how does this affect your benefits? It just all puzzles me why the prices should be so different. And maybe it's just like, well, there's different kinds of bread. This loaf of bread is $1.50. This loaf of bread is $3, and this is, hypothetically speaking, twice as good a bread as the one that's for $1.50. Maybe that's the same case as with insurance, but I just don't know. That's one of those superfluous areas that I just don't know enough about insurance. I see the dollar figures, but I don't know what they mean. So that's an interesting thing. Here's the the next most distrusted service. Government public administration is the fourth most distrusted industry sector. I find that fascinating. It's like all of these things are things we encounter and deal with every day, and we consider them distrusted. Now, just briefly before we bring on our potential guests here, here's the most trusted organizations. Here they are. Ready? The most trusted organizations in the industry sectors are scientific, technology, military, and education industries. Let's say it again. Scientific, technology, military, and education industries. These people are considered honest. Now, I'm glad to hear that because I focused this show when we brought it up as an education-based service. And I like hearing the technology and the scientific. I like to think that I'm kind of technological and scientific, but I'm not really much of either. And but it really pleases me that those are things I think that I can adhere to and spiritually attach myself to and feel good about. I've never been in the military, but I do respect the military. And those guys work their butts off day and night and find ways to survive in situations, and while they're protecting our country and civil rights. And I know we can get debatable about all those things, but I'm not going to even, that's not part of the conversation today. But I just wanted to sum that up by saying there's a lot of distrust in the overall internet world. There's a lot of deception. So you've just got to sort it through. And when we talk about the word honesty, integrity, and authenticity, when we talk about those words, that's what live streaming is all about to me. I can't get online and be other than that which I am. And that's why live streaming is potentially so important. It's not about actors and actresses selling you stuff. It's about who you are and conveying the reality of that live on the air while you're speaking with people, interacting with your audience. And the reality of that connection is what makes it most believable. So if you're going to be believable, consider live streaming. So we have a potential guest, and we'll see if we can get him into. I'm going to send it. Aaron,
He just said he had to go.
No way.
Something came up. He's just less than a minute ago. He said he got to go. Sorry, he has to go.
Oh, that's too bad. I waited too long. I was basically working for the halfway mark to give the last half of the show to him, and let's see if he comes back. You never know. It might be a very temporary thing, but the guy from Stroke TV, Aaron, I've just recently met him, so we've had reasonably limited interactions. But this guy had a stroke apparently about 2 years before I did. And he's live streaming too. So, I mean, to me, that really caught my attention, that he's producing a show and he's overcoming his challenges and he's live streaming. and he's telling his story, and he's building something, and he's leading a movement. And that's what I try to encourage people to do. So, you know, as we're looking at that, people might think, well, I didn't have a stroke. My story is not that critical. I don't know what I can tell. My life is, it's hard, but it's not, it doesn't have the dynamics of, gee, I had a stroke, or I'm living in a wheelchair, or, you know, I have recuperated my speech after so many months or years. I don't have that story to tell. And you think that you need the story to tell in order to tell your story. And I don't believe that at all. I believe that everybody's got a story. If you lived any number of years, 20, 30, 40, doesn't matter. You've had life experiences. And if you extrapolate that out, what you've experienced is of value to somebody. So I encourage you to actually speak about it. And that's what this live streaming thing is all about. And I lost my mouse. Let me see where it is. I'm going to take a breather here and just say hi to the people. I do see that WeWake is out there. How you doing, WeWake? WeWake has been on a journey. Wow. Let's see what he said. What, do you have the comment that WeWake said about insurance companies? I'd probably like to.
Yeah, we've got several here and deciding to be cantankerous. So if you just give me a second here, we can bring them all up. Because Roland's got one, and so does Barbara DeLucio. So
yeah, well, let's feature our audience for a while.
And they're all talking about the insurance. So, and you invited them to give you some feedback and answers on that. So.
Okay. Sounds good. Well,
I'm just busy grabbing everything here.
That's okay. Apparently, Aaron enjoyed the conversation stream. He thought it was pretty good. And was briefly talking about the brain aneurysm that led to his stroke. Let's see.
Yeah, he was asking about dealing with some issues, the release of his creativity.
You know, that's a fascinating story. I really am going to have to interview him on this show. And I thought that might be
already. Here we go. Let me do this share. Go ahead.
Okay, no,
sorry.
It's your turn, dude.
And it shared the wrong one.
Well, we told you it wasn't going to be a normal show today, so okay, here you go.
There you go. Barbara Lucio mentions that insurance is fine until you make a claim, and then they drop you. So that's one reason they build distrust. Another is that Roland commented on, she learned that insurance contributes to this. You pay for insurance coverage, but they won't cover for damage from the aftershock.
The earthquake insurance.
It covers the earthquake.
Really?
But as soon as there's an aftershock, everything past that's not covered. So now they got excuses to disallow.
Oh my God. Prove that this happened before the aftershock.
Yeah. we actually had that happen with our roof and gutters on this house. Fortunately, the damage was obviously hail, and so was the holes in the plastic gutter. So they lost that argument. But that was one of the lines they tried to use on us, too. Insurance companies, Vivek is saying that insurance companies lose the trust because when they renew your policy, they invariably increase the premium you have to pay, way higher than the competition. So it's usually their own fault. And another interesting thing that they bring out, and I've run across this myself, is that insurance companies will tell you, well, we have to increase our rates because even though you may be a good driver, everybody else forces us to make you pay for it.
Yeah, I think there are a lot
So,
of
there's a
issues.
lot of factors
A
as to
lot of
why that distrust is there.
a lot of issues with insurance companies. I know that when I was a young kid, I had an accident, and then Allstate, was it Allstate or Farmers? One or the other were my carrier, and they paid off the insurance and then immediately they paid my claim, which ended up being maybe $1,600. Back in those days, that was more like $10,000 probably. But you know, $1,600 claim and some brief doctor bills and stuff. They paid my claim and then immediately cut my insurance, dropped me from the insurance. It's like, man, you can't have an accident, otherwise you get dropped. So I learned that when I was I wasn't even out of my teens. But insurance is a weird thing, and we have to have it in some cases just as a qualifier to do things like your house insurance and car insurance and so forth. But it's a real speculative thing. Very, very strange stuff. And
Vivek,
go ahead.
Vivek was wondering on your list there, where do bankers sit? Trusted, not trusted, somewhere in the middle?
They're not on the list. I would assume that banking was pretty highly trusted. Now, there are aspects of banking when it comes to international things and corporate things that we don't know what's going on. So, I mean, maybe the trust factor drops away. But then when you consider my one-on-one relationship with my bank, the finance industry is often pretty clear about what it is that what your money is doing. So let me take another look at this. Finance and insurance is the most distrusted industry. I think this is indicating finance, insurance. I'm not sure that they're talking about banking there. I don't think so. But if I were to guess, I would say banking was okay. So a little
I'd have to
feedback
say
on that would be interesting.
a part of the banking is okay. The some of the practices on the financial side after the 2008 issue, you have to wonder.
Yeah, well, the finance and insurance, that's the way it was put, but I have trouble linking them together because finance and insurance to me are two separate things. They might be pretty closely locked together on the back end, but financing like your house mortgage and that stuff, it's kind of weird, how they can give you a loan and then immediately sell it to a different agency and do various things. And the only things that seem to be steady is whatever terms you sell, they apparently will keep you to those terms and they will interpret them the way they want to, no matter who their organization is. So it becomes a matter of he says, she says, and what it means by this. I know that you understand. I know that you think you understand what you think I said, but I'm not sure that you understand. It's like interpretation is everything. But anyway, there were some interesting things. Since we don't have our potential guest to say hi to, here are a few things that I thought were very interesting. That just random thoughts. And here's one. Have you ever considered a pizza to be a pie? Okay, that's pretty random. Okay. I've never considered a pizza was a pie, even though in songs and other historical statements, they call it a pizza pie, but I've never considered pizza a pie. It's always been a bread product or a pizza. It's a pizza. It's not a pie. Anyway, remember when Spam used to be a canned meat, mostly pork? Now it mostly refers to an unsolicited electronic messages. That's incredible. I mean, I've been eating Spam for quite a while, and it's very funny when I built a website for a friend, and we were talking, and all of a sudden he sent me this thing in the mail. It was a picture of a can of Spam, and he said, "That's the only Spam I know," because we were talking about Spam on the internet. He goes, "I don't know what you're talking about. This is the only Spam I know." And that was pretty funny. I actually put that in his website. Here's something to think about. Nowadays, a webinar is just an hour-long sales pitch. That's all it is. You know that when you start the webinar, they say, "Okay, yes, use it for educational and blah 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 purposes, and we can demonstrate this and teach you that and give you this." And they don't give as much as they take, do they? Because at the end they're going to charge you something, and there's a whole formula based on $1,000 conversion at the end of a 1-hour webinar. There are dozens of formulas and layouts on how to do that. Here's how you set it up. Here's how you they bring the people. Here's the form where you fill this out so that it impresses people on the value of your webinar, and then you sell them the concept of being part of a club at the end of that. That lifetime membership only costs $1,000. Yeah, but since you're here with us today, we're going to give it to you for half price. And don't buy it yet. The bonus, the bonus, the bonus. And they stack all these things up, and they put prices on them like, this is worth $700. This is worth $300. This is worth $2,000. So we're going to give it to you as a bonus. Bullshit. If it were worth that much money, now, not last year or the 3 years ago when you came up with that bonus, that at that time, if it was worth $1,000 now, I'll pay you $1,000 if it's worth $1,000. I am not going to accept it as an incentive to buy something for $200 that's absolutely worthless in the first place. So there you go with webinars. That's my thought about webinars. That's why I don't use the word webinars. I like webcasting. I like podcasting. I like video casting. But webinars are a problem for me. That's why, personally, I think Webinar Geo and Webinar Jam have a problem because of the title of their product. And that's just the marketer in me coming through. That maybe I would have chosen something else. But a few years ago, maybe 5 years ago, webinars were the focus. They were the focal points. Like, you got to have webinars. That's the way to make money. You got to have webinars. So the whole thing is thinking of from the standpoint of how to make money. And the concept, they connected the dots and said, how to make money online, webinars. Webinars is the new thing, the new key. And my message is, I don't care what you're selling. I don't care how you're selling it. But the key is to get people to know, like, and trust you. And that's what my market is. Learn how to express yourself. Learn how to be yourself. Learn how to express yourself. And the best way to do that is with live streaming video. End of subject. Okay. There are a couple of more concepts I wanted to convey, and we'll probably wrap it up a little early today. This is the profound statement from Roland. Most opportunities are just ways for others to make money off of you. They're not opportunities. They are not opportunities. They call them opportunities because they tempt you to be a part of something that you may even get something out of it. But the opportunity tempts you to put your money down and be a part of this club. And who really benefits is the people you paid the money to. And that's just this, and that's SOP on the marketing side of things. That's one of the reasons that the advertising industry, especially online, has gone so downhill. So many people talking you into doing that stuff. And I had one last thing about deals. Get this deal today. Grab this special product at a discount. Special deals. Words of wisdom from Roland. Deals are disguises that help others sell you stuff for too much money that you didn't need in the first place. That's how I feel about marketing and advertising. So I kind of guess I've gotten that off my chest. Couple last things. I'll leave it for people if they want to talk about this, ask questions about it, express themselves, or just say it makes no sense or that's a worthless subject. As of a few years ago, one of the strategies or tactics for marketing was a thing called an ethical bribe. So the term, the term actually came up and was like written into scripts about you have to develop an ethical bribe. Okay, it's got to be ethical, but we're going to use it as a bribe because we're going to talk you out of your email. We're going to talk you into joining something or whatever the conversion is. So that's an ethical bribe. Well, that was maybe a semi-honest way of saying selling or encouraging or converting. So an ethical bribe. But when it is an ethical bribe, an unethical scam, because a lot of those ethical bribes are unethical scams. They lead you to something that's only going to get you to pay money because you start believing, then they take your money and then they're done with you. So, but they started the plan when you approached the ethical bribe, right? But for them, it was an unethical scam. And if they're using the concept of deception to guide you down this path and get that buck out of you, and they're not focused on delivering actual value, then I have a problem with that. There's an in between stage of that too. We're delivering value, but people drop off after a while, and oh well, the people enjoy it, they buy it, the people are buying it, so that it's a good business. And to me, I have to be attached to the product that I'm providing or the service that I'm providing. I have to know that whatever I'm delivering was indeed of value, and I need to over-deliver to make sure that the value is clear and that the people on the receiving end definitely benefit. Not just that I put a price tag on this and that's what I think it's worth, but the benefit to the end user has to be there. So I'm about at the end of my rant for the day, Tim.
Okay.
I got one more.
Okay.
This is happening a lot in YouTube. And it's very misleading, and it's unfortunately stuff that is open to solicitation from everywhere. But there's a very common, it's kind of a catchphrase to get people to watch the video. And the one that I find coming up so many times is, which should you buy? And then they compare this to that. And in the case I found it very prevalent was in the market that talks about microphones or which microphone you should be using. And you've got condenser mics, you've got dynamic mics, you've got USB mics, you've got XLR mics, you've got this mic, you've got interfaces, you've got audio interfaces and mixers, and also sort of DAWs, digital audio workstations and stuff. It's nothing but a bunch of confusing mass of stuff. So when they talk about it and they want to sell you a mic, they say, which should you buy? And you're thinking, I want to know which I should buy. I mean, that's a natural human instinct, right? Because if I buy the wrong one, I'm wasting my money. So they watch the video and then they compare these two things. The problem is there are too many variables out there concerning microphones to say, compare this one to that one and which one should you buy? The answer is probably neither, because there are hundreds of options out there. They're showing you two, and then you're basically thinking, well, is this one better than that one, or that one better than this one? And the attributes of this, and wow. But when you consider any category, condenser mics, there are condenser mics that sound good and there are condenser mics that sound bad. Dynamic mics. There are dynamic mics that sound good and dynamic mics that sound bad. And then you have the basic level of quality that you need to produce what it is you're trying to produce. If you're in the recording studio, it's a different story than if you're sitting here in front of a podcast screen or doing a live streaming video. And I've got all kinds of mics. These two mics, let's see if I can get this on the screen here. This mic and this mic are almost identical and almost sound exactly alike, but one's $80 and one's $100. So it's not necessarily price or anything that qualifies whether it's the right mic for you. But you do have to have a minimum. I'll tell you what the minimum quality is. Here's the minimum quality that you need, and then this applies to everybody. The minimum quality good microphone that you need is the one that gets you started doing recording, gets you started doing live streaming. Whatever it is that you say, okay, that's good enough. Now I'm going to do this. If it doesn't stop you from doing what you want to do, that's good enough. Now, do I want to improve it? Yeah, someday I might even improve this one. But if it doesn't stop you from getting started, Roberto Blake just did a video, and his key 3 words were, just get started. You'll improve it, you'll learn more, you'll develop better skills, you'll upgrade your microphone, you'll upgrade your camera, you'll do all these things, you'll buy a backdrop, you might go to green screen, you might do a lot of things, but you've got to get started somewhere. If it doesn't allow you to get started, you definitely don't have the right mindset, because it's mindset. It's not the tools, it's not the mic, it's not all this stuff. It's you deciding you're going to go. I got started for $25. Before I had the camera, before I had the microphone, I got started for $25. Ask me sometime how I did that. And I ran my show for almost a year with that. So it doesn't take hundreds of dollars to get started. And so like these guys that say, which should you buy? Most of them are saying, producing things like, what's the best kit to get started for a live streaming or a podcast show or a video show? And then they tell you about, you need this and you need this and this and this. And they get down to the list and they say, and you can put this together through Amazon. Links are down below for maybe $300 or $400. And they say, that's all you need to get started. So the person is thinking about getting started and going, oh man, I don't have $400. And so they stop dead in their tracks because this guy says that they need it. And so take what you see online, take what you see in YouTube with a grain of salt, and just research it for yourself. And someone will come along and tell you, you don't need all that shit. Just get started. I love the message, Roberto. Thank you very much. So, Tim, you want to take a moment or two to, is there anyone else making any comments? I think I'm going to drop in the stream and see if anyone's still with me after all that ranting and raving.
Yeah, there's a lot of quick comments that there were some comments about your pizza comment about being a pie or not. It's just round. It does have a crust. I was talking about your webinars, and if you hear the scratching, it's my dog saying, "Hey, it's time to open the door." When they're talking about your webinars, it's a captive audience. The opportunity for who, Vivek asks, is the main question. Barbara DeLuccio is saying an oxymoron regarding some of the stuff you were ranting about. And Barbara Quick says that your stand and how you do things is what makes you a good guy versus those others, the bad guy.
I like this too. Roland will say, does it have a crust, Roland? Well, if a crust is a requirement for a pie, and if it has a crust, it is a pie. If that's the equation, then I've learned something new today. Because bread has a crust, it's not a pie. You know, yes, pies have a crust, but not everything with a crust is a pie. So maybe we should clarify a little better. And Barbara DeLuccio, oxymoron. I can't even explain it off the top of my head, but I'm going to research it and send you what an oxymoron is. It's basically a playing with words. It means it's a double meaning concept that is just redundant unto itself. And so I will send you an explanation of what an oxymoron is. But it's actually a very fun concept. And
Ty's asking if he can share a pic. He wanted to show what setup you helped him get. He spent less than $90 and got a pro mini mixing board, nice mic, and a desk stand.
Yeah. We'll wrap the show up with that. Tell him to send me the image. Ty, you can send me the image in the chat. I'll connect with you. If you're in chat, we're going to show you what can happen so easily. If it happens, we'll see.
You could always drag him into the hangout if you wanted. That's between you and him.
Well, you know, we are over the top of the hour, so I don't want to necessarily.
I think you wanted to share it with your. Can he not share it to the comment stream?
All he's got to do is send it to me in Google Chat. I blow up the image and then do a screen share of the actual image.
Ah, okay. I see what you're saying.
So Ty, are you on your phone right now, or are you on your computer? Anyway, you know, I should probably set you guys free so you're not just sitting listening to us blab about this. Well, as we're waiting for Ty, unfortunately, we're not making the connection here. I haven't set up the chat stream to receive images, I don't believe. So can't do that. But if he sends it to me in the next few seconds, I can always screen share with people. But it's not that big a deal. It's no big deal. I think we'll basically roll up the show, roll up the carpet, and say goodbye to people. They're dwindling away anyway. And thank you for being with us. Made a couple of announcements today. and we'll be having some fun in the near future with some new interviews and stuff. Oh wow. Well, let's see if I can do this. Yeah. So that's the setup that I suggested to my son to buy, and you can see his mixer there and his microphone on a boom. Some
Is
of
that
that he
a
got
stream
creative.
pad?
Pardon me?
The little buttons on the side, is that a game controller or the stream pad?
I think it's a game controller, but I don't know. You'll have to talk to him about that. But anyway, the mixer, the screen there, the overhead microphone. It's a little dynamic mic. It's a really good setup. It sounds really good, and it wasn't that expensive. It most certainly was not a $300 or $400 setup, but it's more advanced than most people need, and so that would be considered an intermediate level setup, and it's a really good example of one. But anyway, we can stop sharing that for the day. I don't want to bore everybody anymore because it was a non-scripted show. We just like having fun with it, and I thank you very much for being part of the Marketing Smarties today, and look forward to seeing you all again. We'll have more interviews and more critical shows coming up. Everything after this. So thank you very much, Tim. And we're going to say goodbye to our guests in the audience. Barbara, two Barbaras, WeWake, Lowell Ann, uh, Stroke TV, Aaron, and Ty. All you guys, thank you very much. And we'll see you for the day. Have a great weekend. Bye from Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties. You'd think I'd get better at this after a while.